The NFL season is almost over. We have one game left, and the season is sadly done. And this NFL season was interesting when it comes to the players involved. Some are as good as people make them out to be. Some aren't as good as what people make them out to be. And then you have the guys who do not get enough credit as they deserve. You see the title, that's exactly what we're doing today. This is the 5 most underrated NFL players of 2023. So our first two are going to be together, and it's Steelers running backs Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren. We're going to start out with Jaylen Warren, and I thought he was a rookie this season. And what if I told you that this isn't running back 1 material stats? He's running back 2. So yeah, 149 attempts, 784 yards, 4 touchdowns, while averaging 5.3 yards per attempt. That 5.3 yards per attempt is insane, and not enough people talk about how good Jaylen Warren was this season. And then we have running back 1 for the Steelers, Najee Harris, aka Anne Hathaway, and I'm shocked with the season Najee Harris had. I had no idea he went, well, I did know he went for 1,000 yards, but it still kind of shocks me. It felt like he ran for like 600 or 700. It felt like Warren took his spot. He also runs like he's wearing jeans, but anyway, his stat line for the season, he finished with 255 attempts, 1,035 yards, and 8 touchdowns. And I don't know what the stat was, but it was like the first player to have his first 3 seasons finished with 1,000 yards or more, which is pretty insane because you wouldn't expect that from Najee Harris. So hey, maybe we've been hating on him this entire time, and he's actually not bad. Next up, we have Bengals defensive end Trey Hendrickson, and he's not just been underrated this season, but ever since his breakout season in 2020 with the Saints, he's been incredibly underrated. This season, Hendrickson tied for second in the league in sacks with 17.5. He had 43 tackles, 16 tackle for losses, and 3 forced fumbles, which that's a defensive player of the year type year, but you didn't hear his name at all. Not in the nominees, but let alone just at all. Here's Trey Hendrickson's stats this season compared to Micah Parsons, who was invited to the NFL honors as a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, and as you see, they're nearly identical, and you can even make the case that Trey Hendrickson was better than Micah Parsons this season. You can make the case for guys like Josh Allen of the Jags, Khalil Mack, and Danielle Hunter to be underrated players this season, and they very well were. But out of all these guys, including Trey Hendrickson, I heard Trey Hendrickson's name the least amount of times, so that's why I put him on this list, but you can make considerations for them as well. Next up is Bears cornerback Jalen Johnson. Now, I should have said this earlier, but this list is in no particular order, but if I would have to give this award of most underrated player in the league to one player, it'd have to be Jalen Johnson. His first 3 seasons, he was a pretty underrated player back then, but now in 2023, he had his breakout season, and he's never been more underrated. This season, Jalen Johnson had 4 interceptions, 36 tackles, a forced fumble, and a pick 6, and he was selected to his first Pro Bowl team. To be honest, Jalen Johnson put up an all-pro season, and hopefully next season he proves I don't think he has a lot of haters, but I guess a lot of non-knowers. He'll prove a lot of non-knowers wrong, and he'll be selected to the All-Pro team next season. And at number 5, our last player on the list is linebacker, again for the Chicago Bears, TJ Edwards. Now, while I was doing, I guess my research for this video, I knew who TJ Edwards was. The name sounded familiar, but I didn't really know how good he was. And then when I saw the stats, it really took me by surprise. Now, before joining Chicago this season, he was a linebacker for the Eagles for 4 seasons, and in 2021 and 2022, he was pretty good, and ironically enough, he was underrated. In 2023, TJ Edwards finished with 155 tackles, which finished 7th in the league, 2.5 sacks, and a forced fumble. If you notice, this video is really short, so I'm going to give a few honorable mentions, guys who are underrated, but aren't top 5 in the league. We start off our honorable mentions with Bobby Okereke, linebacker for the New York Giants. He was underrated last year with the Colts, and he's underrated again this year as he finished number 9 in tackles in the league with 149. We're going to see a lot of linebackers such as overall defensive players on this list. They just don't get talked about enough because they don't have the ball in their hands. It's common football knowledge. Looking back, I should have put this guy in my top 5, but no one is talking about how good Kyren Williams was this year. Even though he made the Pro Bowl, I don't think much people realize that he finished 3rd in rushing yards, 7th in rushing touchdowns with 12, and, well, that's about it. He's overall one of the best running backs this season in the NFL, but most people don't realize that. So that's all the guys I wanted to name, and that's pretty much it. But I don't like it when videos are under 5 minutes long. And it's over 5 minutes. Okay, bye.